Hello, Warrior Nation. Are you a solopreneur, a new entrepreneur, side hustler, and you are trying to figure out what to do with finances? This video, I'm going to walk you through 5 financial basics for entrepreneurs and side hustlers. Hi, I'm Nile Harris. I am a coach, advisor, educator, and speaker working with businesses, entrepreneurs, and professionals to transform your passion and purpose into profit. And before we get started with 5 financial basics that every entrepreneur and side hustler should know, I would love it if you would take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel, but also follow me at I am Nile Harris on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Clubhouse. I am where you are. And let's go ahead and dig into the 5 financial basics that every entrepreneur and side hustler should know. Now, if you're watching this video, it's probably because you are just getting started or you have been doing your side hustle or your business for a little while now. You are an absolute expert at what you do. But some of the aspects of wearing different hats in the business can be a little daunting. Finance is one of those things. Well, here I am, warrior to the rescue. I have a Bachelor of Science in Finance. In the first 5 years of my career, 7 actually, I spent in financial services. Now, I don't do financial accounting as a profession, but I do understand financial statements, modeling, budgeting, things like that. So I'm going to break down some ways that you can get in, figure out how to handle your finances and keep them from getting away from you. And let's get started with number 1, create a budget. Now, it's really easy to create a budget. If you would create a budget for your own household, it's the same for a business. One of the biggest mistakes that new side hustlers or entrepreneurs make is that they don't sit down and think about, well, how much do I want to spend on marketing? How much do I want to spend on sales? How much do I want to spend on product development or outsourcing or getting a virtual assistant, whatever it is, sit down and create a budget. We just sort of rush headlong and we go into our new venture. And believe it, I actually started doing independent consulting over 10 years ago, and I didn't actually set a budget for myself, and that did bite me in the butt, and I don't want you to get bitten in the butt. But keep getting a budget for yourself. And then I created a blog. I made no budget for myself. And then like all of these expenses started piling up, but the blog wasn't making any money because it was a hobby at the time. So make a budget, and it's very simple. Think about all of the categories of spending that you will have. Is marketing, ads. How much do you want to spend on ads? Ads can get you in trouble if you are not really thinking about how much you want to spend on ads. So making a budget is number 1. Number 2, set goals and write them down. Yes. Goals have time bound aspects to them, but they're also, you're trying to achieve something. So set a goal for how much revenue you want to bring in. So the budget, think of that as sort of the goals that you are setting for how much money you want to spend. Think about how much money you want to bring in to cover those expenses. And that will tell your brain that you are working towards something and it needs to make better decisions to help you achieve those goals. So set a goal for your first month. Say that you want 10 clients or you want to make 10,000 in your first month. What do you want to make in the first month? What do you want to make in the first quarter? Or in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, how much do you want to make for that year? How much do you want to make next year? Think about these goals because that's what's going to keep you moving forward. You're going to go back, look at those goals, and make sure that your budget is aligned to these goals. Number 3, another big mistake that side hustlers, solopreneurs, and new entrepreneurs make is that they don't track money in and out. There are a couple of ways that you can do this. three ways you can do this. Actually, you can use a spreadsheet. I use a spreadsheet, but again, I was a finance major. So I have a spreadsheet where it's basically one sheet. I see money in and I see money out. At the top is my money in, at the bottom is my money out. And it's also my budget and it's also my goals. So I actually combined 1, 2, 3 tips into one spreadsheet, one sort of summary spreadsheet. There are multiple tabs in my worksheet, but on the one side, I can see what money came in, what money's going out. And I also have a budget for what is my quarterly tax payment. I set it at like 33%. So it automatically calculates whatever I get in, 33% is automatically calculated to what needs to be set aside for my tax reserve. I have a tax reserve. And also I have a cash reserve. I also have whatever money comes in. How much of that money is going to my personal savings account? How much of that is going to personal retirement? Pay yourself first. A second way that you can track money in and out is using a tool like QuickBooks. You can, QuickBooks does have a little bit of an investment. So if you're not there yet where you want to pay that annual fee for QuickBooks, you can rely on, you can do the free version. And there are other software tools out there that have free versions where you won't have all of the tools available to you, but you can attach it to your bank account and then categorize money that comes into that bank account. And here's a freebie. It's not part of the 5, but if you don't have a separate bank account for your business, handle that today. You want to keep your money separate from your personal money. So when you get payment, whether it's a product or a service, when you get payment, that money should go directly into that business account. If you set up an LLC or some other business entity, you should have a bank account in the company's name. There's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but right now we're talking about 5 financial basics. The other way you can do it is outsource your tracking of money in and out to a bookkeeper. And that bookkeeper will help keep track of receipts, will help keep track of expenses, and then will also help you with your taxes. You can get a good bookkeeper at a really affordable price monthly, because what they're doing is really you're sending them the information and they're categorizing everything for you. They'll do the tax preparation, so you can outsource it. But even if you outsource it, you need to know how to keep track of your money. You need to know how to be able to read financial statements and know where your money is going. Never, ever, I don't care how wealthy and rich you are, never abdicate 100% of knowing where your money is to someone else. Tip number 4, organize your receipts and close out every month. This is something where I see people like just are not doing it. And it's frustrating because, as a finance person, just because I've logged something on my spreadsheet, I also need the receipt. And what I use is a tool called Zoho Expense, Zoho Expense. And I will, all the receipts that I get, doesn't matter what it is, receipt for domain payment, receipt for buying software or membership or anything like that. When it comes into my inbox, Zoho Expense has a feature where you can directly email that receipt to Zoho Expense, and it goes into your account. And then when you log into Zoho Expense, you can categorize the receipts. I do this. I have Finance Fridays. So on Fridays, I go through my inbox, any receipts that are in there or any physical receipts. So if you have the Zoho Expense app, if I have a physical receipt, I take a picture of it and log it into the Zoho Expense app. But every Friday, all of those invoices or all those receipts that are in my inbox, I send them to Zoho Expense. I then save all of those receipts in my folder, in my inbox in a folder just called receipts, put those in there. Then I go into Zoho Expense at the end of the month. Sometimes I do it every week, just depending on how I feel about it. I don't want to have like 20, 30 receipts at the end of the month that I need to categorize. But I go into Zoho Expense, All the receipts that I email to myself are in there. And then I put them in the appropriate categories. And Zoho already has the same categories as you will see on tax documents. So the same way that it's going to be when you file taxes are the same categories in Zoho Expense. It saves the receipt, it saves the amount, how you paid for it, everything that you would need for a bookkeeper or everything that you would need for your taxes. Do this at the end of every month. Then when you get to December, when you close out December, you are done for the year. There's no chasing down receipts. There's no trying to talk to the bookkeeper. Like, did you get this? Did you? All of the receipts are there. And so what I do is at the end of the year, I download a zip file for each month. Download the zip file. That zip file contains a list of all of the expenses for that month, along with images of all of the receipts. I have it all, and I am done closing out the month of December and the year. And other things that I do, if you're going to check out Zoho Expense, and I recommend that you do, there are other tools out there as well, but Zoho Expense is free for one seat. So what I do is I have an expense report for every month. So I've got January through December. All of the January expenses go on January, February, and February. And then I download all of those expenses as an Excel spreadsheet, and I copy those into my big spreadsheet that I use. And that's how I capture all of the money that I've spent in that spreadsheet that I was telling you about in step 3 now, or in tip 3 rather. And then I also have an expense report called recurring expenses, because I capture recurring expenses on my spreadsheet month over month. So, but I do want to make sure I have the receipts. So those receipts go into an expense report that I call recurring expenses. And then it's just captured there. So again, when I get to the end of the month, I close out that month, I pull over those expenses. You don't have to do it that way. I do it that way. And then at the end of the year, I download everything, put it in a zip file, and I'm done. File taxes. It's awesome. Then tip number 5, understanding financial statements. I know, I get it. Like people will see like a financial statement or an income statement or a balance sheet. Like, I don't know what this means. I don't know how to read it, but you will need, if you want to attract investors, if you want to get a loan for your business, if you want to apply for certain certifications, maybe like woman owned or Black owned, a lot of times they're going to want your financial statements. Now, if you're using a bookkeeper, the bookkeeper can pull those together easily, but you need to understand what those things say. So your income statement is an accounting summary that shows how much money came in, your revenue, sales. You can do it as one line, just revenue, or you can break it down into different categories if you like. So for me, for example, on my revenue line, I show how much came from coaching, how much came from speaking, how much came from consulting. And then I have a bottom revenue line. And then if you're doing a product, you might have cost of goods sold. And so once you take that out, you'll have your gross margin. Now, I would love to be able to walk you through step by step in this video of how to read an income statement, how to read a balance sheet, but I'm not going to do that in this video, but I got you. Don't worry. I'm going to make a video for each document, but your financial statement is going to show you your profit. It's going to show you the money that came in as your revenue, all of your expenses categorized correctly. So how much went to marketing, how much went to sales, how much went to pay, paying people, benefits, things like that. You're going to have your net income. So gross income is when you take your revenue and you take out your cost of goods sold, that gives you your gross revenue, and also gives you your gross profit margin. When you take out all of the other expenses, what you'll have down at the bottom is called earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT. You may have heard that term EBIT. You may have also heard the term EBITDA. So it's EBITDA is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Once that's taken out, then you'll have your profit. You have your net income. You have like that's what you're taking home. So you want to be able to understand financial statements. Balance sheets are an explanation of your assets and your liabilities. Your assets would be things that generate wealth to a degree. They're the things that you own that provide some sort of wealth. So if you have a building, you own a building, that's an asset. If that asset is part of your business, you own that. That's part of the wealth of your business. If you have a mortgage on that building, that's a liability. So just like if you own a home, it's the same thing. Inventory is an asset. If you have money that's owed on that inventory, that is a liability. Those are your accounts payable. Your accounts receivable are invoices that you've sent out. Maybe you have 30-day invoices, and accounts receivable, it's what's due to you. That's an asset. So if you've got 5 invoices out that are worth $10,000, that's $10,000 that's coming to you. Well, let's say only 4 of those invoices get paid and you have to write off, either write off bad debt or write off that would be a liability. So you need to know there are lots of different buckets. It can get kind of confusing. So if you have a very simple sort of business where you're doing services, your balance sheet will likely be more along the lines of accounts payable, accounts receivable, cash on hand is also on your balance sheet. That's just how much money you have in the bank. So for me, I mentioned earlier that I have a tax reserve and I have a cash reserve. Those are on my balance sheet as cash on hand. All taxes care about is how much cash do you have on hand. I personally designate this bucket of money is for my tax reserve. So at the end of the quarter, when I pay taxes, estimated taxes, I take it out of my tax reserve bucket. If I need extra money, I don't know who has extra money lying around, but money so that I don't go negative is what I call my cash reserve. So but all of that hits my balance sheet. So it really just depends. A bookkeeper can keep all of that straight for you. Then there are other financial statements that are like your operating expenses, right? Like, again, that money in, that money out, and it's a little bit more detailed. But understanding your financial statements, how to read them, how to understand them, even if you're using a bookkeeper, is really key. So I'm going to wrap this up for you. The 5 financial basics that you need to know if you are an entrepreneur or a side hustler is 1, create a budget. Simple. It doesn't have to be really complicated, but you want to be mindful of where you're going to spend your money, how much you want to spend on that. It will keep you in line. Trust me. Tip number 2, basic number 2, set goals, write them down. This is true of anything, but it's especially going to be important with finances because money is something that can get out of control quickly. Trust me. Tip number 3, track your money in and out. Whether it's every week or every month, you want to get a sense of what's coming in and out. Because especially when we're doing side hustles, we're like, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this. And we're not literally like keeping a track of it. I'll tell you, when I finally sat down and started looking at all of the software tools that I use and pay for, I probably had a bunch of tools that I wasn't using anymore that I was paying for every month or every year. And so I just went through and I started shutting things off and canceling subscriptions and getting rid of stuff. And I'm like, why did I even invest in that in the first place? Tracking money in and out will help you keep that in check. Number 4, organize your receipts and close out the month. If you do this, I promise you, take an hour every week and an hour at the end of the month, or an hour and a half at the end of the month. If you invest that 2.5 hours every month, when you get to the end of the year, It will be super simple. You will not need to spend a lot of time trying to find receipts. Take care of it every week, every month. You'll thank yourself. Number 5, understand financial statements. Even if you are a solopreneur, you still have financial statements. If you have incorporated in any form or fashion an LLC, understand that entities that you report to, especially, your local or state authorities, they're going to want to see some financial statements. So if they ever come knock on your door, now they don't have to be Gaap. Now, what? They don't have to be Gaap. What is that? Gaap is generally accepted accounting principles. So if you've ever looked at a financial statement and they say Gaap and non-Gaap, generally accepted accounting principles are what are official documents that would be reviewed and acceptable by the IRS. Non-Gaap they haven't been audited. They don't necessarily follow all of the rules of accounting, and it might be for different reasons that they don't follow the rules. But when something is reported to a local, state, or federal authority, they are typically Gaap reports, generally accepted accounting principles. Non-Gaap is what I have, and I make sure all of my statements say these are non-Gaap. I'm not following the accounting rules. I'm following the rules that I need that make sense to me to keep track of my money. Okay, there you go. There you have it, warrior. Those were the 5 financial basics every entrepreneur and side hustler should know. There's so much to know about finance. I get it. I studied it for 4 years. There's a lot, but don't worry. I'm not going to leave you out there bad. Stick with me. Be sure that you are signed up for the weekly e-newsletter from me. It is AI curated e-newsletter. The more you click, the more it delivers content that you are specifically interested in. No 2 people receive the exact same e-newsletter. That's so cool. And plus, you also receive the weekly tips from me, and you also get this blog, Nile Speaks blog, delivered directly into your inbox. Let's keep the conversation going. If you found this helpful, comment below. What are some tips that you use or interested in, or do you think other people should know? What do you want to know more about in finance? Because I will be back with more information. And follow me at I am Nile Harris on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Clubhouse, LinkedIn. Find me in all the places. And as usual, please reach out. Let me know how I can help. Also, I will be releasing a course, Business Basics Unleashed, in this fall. So be sure you are on the mailing list. I will catch you back here next time, Warrior Nation.